Jim and Carol Dawson had a pretty good marriage. The only downside was Jim sometimes expressed a macho side that would upset Carol. Jim was on the slim side and only 5'8" in height. Carol passed it off as him trying to make up for his build, but it was getting harder and harder for her. She was having lunch with her best friend Beverly when she complained. "Sometimes Jimmy makes me so mad with his macho posturing. Yesterday I had a ton of things I wanted to get done and I asked him to load the dishwasher and he said that was woman's work. He wouldn't even get his ass off the couch to do a simple thing like that when he saw I was working hard. I just don't know what to do with him sometimes. I love him but he pushes me to the limit sometimes." Beverly said, "I like Jimmy. He isn't a bad person. Maybe he just needs to have a change in attitude. Have you thought about telling him all you have to do and challenging him to get as much done? Jimmy would never fall for that. It would take a major event for him to change. He is pretty set in his ways," was Carol's response. "You know I can think of a way to cause a major event but I don't know if you would like it. This is a pretty drastic idea, one that would require a change of attitude for you and for Jimmy." Carol said, "Let's hear it. You have given me good advice in the past. You are my closest friend and I have a lot of trust in what you say. Get him into a dress. Once you have him in a dress you can control the events." "A man in a dress will do anything to get out of it," said Beverly. "Oh sure, all I have to do is tell him to put on a dress and he'll go right away and put one on." Carol replied sarcastically. Beverly replied, "I think I could get him in a dress. Remember last summer when you had that cookout? Jimmy had a little much to drink and I think he was coming on to me. I think he has thought about how he would like to get into my panties. I don't mind if he wears my panties, he might look cute in them. He and I are close to the same size. I remember when my apartment was getting painted and I stayed with you that his bedroom slippers fit me like a glove so the shoe size must be about the same. You get him over to my place and I'll get him into a dress for you. You will have to take it from there." Carol said, "I don't know. I have never ordered Jimmy to do anything. Isn't there anything else you can think of to change him?" "No, I can't think of anything else. Maybe time will change him if you don't want to try the dress idea." They finished their lunch and Carol went back to work. She imagined what Jimmy would look like in a dress. She had to laugh when the image appeared in her mind. She passed it off as an idea that probably wouldn't work out. That evening at supper she said, "I had lunch with Beverly today. She is about the best friend a woman could have. What do you think of her?" Jimmy replied, "I like her. She's friendly. She got a good body, any man would be proud to be with her. She has a good personality. She's sexy looking. She got about everything a man could wish for, I guess." Carol said, "You sound like you would like to get her in bed. Is that what you are thinking?" Jimmy quickly answered, "Dear, I love you. I would never go to bed with her and ruin our relationship." Carol came back with, "Well, if I weren't here and you woke up in bed with her, would you kick her out?" Jimmy replied, "I am just as faithful to you when you aren't here as when you are here. I can never be unfaithful to you." Carol changed the subject saying, "I have to change the bed linens. Will you rinse and put the dishes in the dishwasher for me?" Jimmy responded, "That's woman's work. You have time to do both." He finished his supper and went into the living room to read the evening paper. Carol went up to the bedroom and changed the sheets. She was steaming about how Jimmy wouldn't even do a simple thing like put the dishes in the dishwasher. She finished the bed and went to throw the sheets down the clothes chute. She went down and saw the dishes still on the table. She rinsed and put them in the dishwasher. By that time, she was seeing red. She went back up to the bedroom with tears in her eyes. She phoned Beverly and told her what had happened. They talked for a long time. When they were done, they had devised a plan to get Jimmy into a dress. Carol went down to the living room. She said to Jimmy, "I just got done talking to Beverly. She invited us over for supper tomorrow night. You know, she broke up with her boyfriend last week. She told me she is hotter than hell for some sex. She needs something to get her mind off of it." Jimmy was glad to hear they were going to visit Beverly. He imagined what she would be like in bed. He found himself growing hard. That night he and Carol had fantastic sex before they went to sleep. The next evening, as they were on their way to Beverly's apartment, Carol said, "Now I want you to be on your best behavior. Beverly is going through a hard time. It would be a big favor if you just try to cooperate with her and do whatever she asks. Whatever she asks, think of as doing for me, okay?" Jimmy replied, "Sure, okay. No problem. I like Beverly, she's nice." Then in his teasing voice he said, "What if she wants to go to bed with me?" Carol replied, "She's my best friend. I already told you to try to cooperate with her. I know she likes you. I don't think she sees you as a bad partner. All I am saying is try to do as she asks, okay?" Jimmy assured her he would do whatever she asked of him. They arrived and Beverly immediately gave them both a strong drink. Jimmy felt the effects of the drink before he'd finished it. Carol suddenly remembered she had put a pot on for tea before she left. She told them she was going to run home quick to turn it off and would be back shortly. When he finished his drink, Beverly asked him if he could give her a hand for a minute. He agreed and she led him to her bedroom. Once they were in her bedroom, she gave Jimmy a sensuous kiss. Jimmy's head swam. She asked him if he ever thought about getting into her panties. He replied yes. Beverly got a pair of her pink panties with lots of lace on them from her dresser drawer. She turned and told Jimmy to strip. He hesitated. She kissed him again and told him to strip. He started stripping. His head was swimming and he wasn't thinking straight. He finally was naked in front of Beverly. She knelt down and held the panties open. She told him to step in. He refused. She stood up and told him, "I'll tell Carol you attacked me if you don't put them on." She kissed him deeply again. Beverly said, "Are you going to put the panties on or do I have to talk to Carol?" Jimmy in pain replied, "Okay, I'll put the panties on." Beverly said, "Are you going to put on everything I want you to, or am I going to tell Carol a real story?" Jimmy with tears in his eyes said he would put on whatever she wanted him to. She helped him into the panties, and then put a bra on him. She packed the cups of the bra so they stood out to their utmost. Then she helped him with the stockings and slip. When she slid the tight black sleeveless dress on him, she saw him shudder. She knew she had him right where she wanted. She put a pair of 4-inch heels on his feet and buckled the ankle straps. Then she helped him hobble over to her makeup table and applied a heavy coat of makeup to him, and topped her work with a brunette wig she'd once worn. When he saw himself in the mirror, he was mortified. She told him to wait 5 minutes, then to come into the living room and they could smooch. He agreed. Beverly went into the living room and saw Carol had returned. She told Carol he was in a dress. She gave Carol a few suggestions on what to do. When they heard Jimmy's heels on the hallway floor, Carol didn't know what to expect. She was nervous. When she saw him, she said, "Well, if that isn't a sissy, I don't know Jack." Beverly said, "Jimmy, curtsy to your wife and do a good job of it. Jimmy curtsied to his wife. His face was redder than Carol had ever seen it. He said, "Carol, tell her to get me out of these clothes." Carol said, "You look darling in them. Leave them on. If you ask me again to get them off, you'll be wearing them home. If you protest anything, you will be wearing a dress for longer than you can think ahead. Do you understand me?" Jimmy mumbled yes. Carol said, "Speak up so we can hear you." Jimmy spoke louder. Carol was starting to enjoy the power she had over Jimmy. She said, "I can't think of someone in a dress being called Jimmy, can you, Bev?" "What can we call him?" Beverly said, "How about Elizabeth? You can always shorten it to Beth or Liz." Carol said to Jimmy, "Your new name is Elizabeth, but you will also answer to Beth or Liz. Now, what is your name?" Jimmy said, "Come on, Carol, you know my name. Can't we stop this nonsense?" Carol said, "It's not nonsense. I told you any further protest and you would wear that stuff home. Well, you just earned wearing it home. From now on you will call me mistress. Now, what is your name?" Jimmy answered sadly, "Elizabeth." Carol told him to ask Beverly if it was all right for him to wear the clothes home. He turned toward Beverly and asked her. She said, "If you ask nice, curtsy before you ask, and it's Miss Beverly." Elizabeth curtsied and asked, "Miss Beverly, is it all right if I wear these clothes home tonight?" Beverly answered, "Sure it is. You can have them. I would like to hear how you love your new clothes." Elizabeth said, "I really love my new clothes. You have such good taste in clothes. I have some old clothes that I don't wear anymore. Would you like to have them to wear?" Beverly asked. "I don't know what Carol thinks about that." "I don't think so." Carol spoke, "You were told to call me mistress. When someone makes you a nice offer like that, you should accept. Or would you rather go shopping for more dresses?" Elizabeth answered, "No, I don't want to go shopping for dresses." "How long are you expecting me to wear dresses?" Carol answered, "As long as I see fit. I want you to promise me that as soon as you get home you will change into a dress and everything that goes with it." Elizabeth asked, "What if I don't promise, then what?" Carol said, "You can't get out of that dress by yourself, so you will wear it until you promise." Elizabeth, seeing he was defeated, promised. Beverly sent him out into the kitchen to set the table and serve the meal. By the time he was putting the meal on the table, his legs were really starting to hurt. He was also feeling the girdle she had put on him. He told them the meal was on the table. As they were eating, Carol said, "Elizabeth, from now on you are responsible for keeping the house clean, doing the cooking, grocery shopping, the laundry, and all the things I used to do that you never seemed to appreciate. Do you understand?" He nodded that he understood. Carol saw a quizzical look on his face and told him he could ask a question if he wanted to. He said, "Why have you done this to me?" Carol answered, "Because you never once helped me around the house. I come home from work and there is so much to do. I could have used help many times and I knew it was useless to ask you. When I did ask you, you always said it was woman's work. Now it is your work. Hopefully eventually you will understand what trying to do a full-time job and coming home to another almost full-time job is like. I am very sorry it had to come to this, but you brought it upon yourself." Elizabeth sat quietly, then asked, "Can I ask how long you intend to keep me this way?" Carol answered, "I don't really know. It could be a week, a month, a year, or more. It is up to you. I expect to see you at times enjoying yourself, but most times I expect to see you busy. I want to see a happy face on you even if you are not happy inside. If I see you are really trying to do a good job on things, I may help you to get everything done. If I don't see you trying to do a good job, then you are going to regret it. Am I clear enough for you? Elizabeth answered yes. He understood everything she was saying. He was already sorry he hadn't helped her a little bit when she asked. He never thought it would come to this. After they had eaten, he was told to clear the table, rinse the dishes, and put them into the dishwasher. The girls went out on the patio while he did as told. When he was done, he went out by them. Beverly then took him up to her spare bedroom. She started to pick things from the closet for him to wear. He was amazed when she took out a corset and 2 long-line bras. She told him he would really feel feminine when he wore those. He blushed and knew it wouldn't be pleasant. Elizabeth was made to carry his new dresses down to the car and lay them out on the rear seat so they wouldn't wrinkle. Then Beverly gave him 2 bags of assorted items. When he had it all in the car, he wanted to get away from there before anything else happened to him. They were getting ready to leave when Beverly told them to hold on, that she thought of something. She took off for her bedroom. When she returned, they saw she was carrying the clothes he had worn when he arrived there. She handed them to Carol for safekeeping. Then Elizabeth saw she was holding a purse. Beverly said, "You won't look right without a purse." She handed him the pink patent leather purse, saying, "I took the things out of your wallet and put them in the wallet that goes with the purse." She handed his old wallet to Carol as he stood there feeling the redness in his cheeks. Beverly said she put some other things in the purse for him too. On their way home, Jimmy was shocked when Carol turned the wrong direction to go to their house. She pulled into a mall. She parked the car and told him if he behaved, he would not be humiliated, but if he objected, he would be sorry. He tottered alongside of her into the mall. She headed right for Victoria's Secret. She was picking out some panties for him. The sales clerk was right there with them as she picked out several pair. Elizabeth asked her if they had to be so lacy. Carol turned to the salesgirl and said, "Do you think a size 6 will fit him?" The salesgirl giggled and said yes, she thought they would fit him. Carol picked out some more until she had 7 pairs. Then she asked the salesgirl what size bras did she think he would take. The salesgirl said she could measure him to be sure. Carol told her to go ahead and measure him. As the salesgirl measured him, several customers laughed. She told Carol the size and showed her several popular styles. Carol picked out 4 long-line lacy bras, making sure they had strong stays in them. Elizabeth just stood there blushing. Carol then picked him up some camisoles that were more feminine than any she had. They left the store and Carol asked him if he wanted to do any more shopping. He told her he wished they were home. Carol said, "I know you have worn my floral dress. I noticed it was moved in my closet after the last time I washed it. Admit it or I'll embarrass you like you never have been embarrassed before." Jimmy said, "I brushed against it in the closet and it felt so nice, so I just put it on to see if it felt that good on me. I only had it on for a couple of minutes, then I hung it back up." "I swear." Carol said, "That's okay. I don't mind. Maybe I'll let you wear it sometime." Jimmy was red in the face and Carol smiled. She liked the hold she had on him. They were passing a shoe store when Carol asked, "Don't you want to get some more shoes, or are those comfortable enough?" Elizabeth answered, "They are not comfortable. I suppose I would like some that were more comfortable." Carol led him into the shoe store. He was aghast when the first pair she picked for him to try on had higher heels than the ones he had on. She told him they would take them. Then she picked out a pair of red flats for him to try. He felt a lot better in them and told her they were fine. She told him to ask nice and they could get them. He swallowed his pride and asked nicely if they could get them. She said yes, and he was relieved. She told him to pay for his new shoes. When he opened his purse, a tampon fell out. He blushed and put it back in. He was horrified to have to get the pink patent leather wallet in the purse. He paid for the shoes and they headed for the car and home. He was silent in the car thinking about his predicament. He didn't know what was going to happen. This was the worst day of his life. They pulled into the garage and Carol told him to get his new clothes out and put them away. He got the dresses and went and hung them up in his side of the closet. It was crowded, but he got them all hung up. Carol came in and saw him putting them away. She said, "I think you better hang them in the spare bedroom closet. You'll have more room and they won't be so scrunched that they get wrinkled." He took them and put them in the spare bedroom closet. When he was walking through the kitchen with the bags, Carol told him to put everything in the spare bedroom. He went up and put the articles in the dresser. As he was putting the stuff away, Carol came in carrying some cosmetics. She put them on the low dresser with the mirror. Carol said, "You can have these. You want to make yourself pretty for me, don't you?" Elizabeth answered, "Do I have a choice? You seem to be pretty much in control." Carol replied, "Yes, I am in control. I will make you out a list of things to do each day until you get the hang of things. Starting tomorrow morning, I'll have breakfast in bed at 7:30 every morning. Nothing special, just coffee, orange juice and toast. Do you think you can handle that?" Elizabeth said she could handle it. By the time everything was properly put away, it was bedtime. Elizabeth went into their bedroom and Carol handed him a pink nightgown to wear. He took it and laid it on the bed. Carol asked, "What do you think you are doing?" He answered, "Getting ready for bed." Carol said, "I don't sleep with a woman or a man who is dressed like a woman. You can sleep in the spare bedroom until I tell you I want you in my bed. Now go get ready for bed. Good night." Elizabeth took the nightgown and went to the spare bedroom, now his bedroom. When he got there, he took the brunette wig off and started to get undressed. He couldn't get the dress off. He went back to Carol's bedroom and asked her to help him. She unbuttoned all the little buttons in back and helped him out of it. Back in his room, he finished undressing and put the nightgown on. He climbed in bed and lay there trying to think of a way out of this situation. He finally fell into a fitful sleep. He woke up at 7 and went down to make coffee. It was done quickly and he poured himself a cup. He took 2 sips out of it and noticed it was 7:20. He quickly started to get Carol's breakfast ready. As the toast was toasting, he got the tray down and put the orange juice on it, poured the coffee, and then the toast popped up. He quickly buttered it and put it on a little plate. He took the tray up to Carol's room and entered exactly at 7:30. Carol said, "Very good on the timing, but I want to be served by someone who is dressed. Tomorrow you better be dressed to serve. You know, a dress or skirt and blouse and shoes, not barefoot like you are now. Understand?" He said yes, and she continued, "While I am eating you can start to get dressed for work. Go put on your bra, panties, pantyhose and camisole. Then you can come back here and get your work clothes on. Now get moving." He went and put what she had told him on. He was thankful the bra hooked in front. He had chosen the only white long line bra he had. All the camisoles were darker colors, so he chose the red one. It was the least dark. When he had the pantyhose on, he went back to Carol's room and went into his closet. He chose a dark blue shirt, his black pants and matching sport coat. Carol looked at his selection and told him he should wear a white shirt. He exchanged the shirts and got dressed. He was fully dressed and Carol told him she wanted to check that he looked okay. She immediately notices she could see the outline of the camisole through his shirt. She didn't say anything. She told him she was done with breakfast and that he should take the dishes and put them in the dishwasher before he went to work. She wished him a good day at work. He arrived at work and as he was passing his secretary he noticed her giving him a funny look. Carla, his secretary, said good morning and he went into his office. Within a half hour he had to dictate a couple of letters, so he buzzed Carla. She came in and gave him a funny look and took her usual seat in front of his desk. He dictated the letters and she left. He wondered if somehow she knew what he was wearing under his clothes. He knew she believed in female supremacy and didn't waste time letting people know it. She never gave him a hard time, so he didn't worry about it. 5 minutes later Carla buzzed him and told him that Mrs. Jennings wanted to see him in her office. He entered Mrs. Jennings' office and took a seat in front of her desk. She talked about the state of the business and asked his opinion on a couple of matters. She was talking to him when he noticed that she was giving him a funny look. She said to him, "Take your coat off." He did as she requested. She said, "It is just as I thought. What are you wearing underneath your clothes?" Jim answered, "Nothing special, why?" She said, "I see a lacy outline. Are you wearing women's underwear? Tell me the truth." Jim told her yes and explained what had happened between his wife and him. Mrs. Jennings listened to his story. Then she said, "As a woman I have to side with your wife. I know how hard it is to work a full-time job and keep a house up also. I never believed in going halfway. Do you believe in going halfway?" He answered that he didn't believe in going halfway. She said, "Good, now go over to my closet and you will find the spare blouse I keep there. Put it on. There's a skirt there also for you to wear." He said, "I can't do that." She said, "You remember Eric Johnson who left last year to go to that new job? Well, it fell through and he is still unemployed. Do you think you can get a job faster with all the people out there looking for a job? I suggest you do what I say." Defeated, he went to the closet and put the blouse and skirt on. Mrs. Jennings said, "It's a little loose but it will do. I am going to buzz Carla and see if she can help you achieve a more feminine look. I am sure she can. Go back to your office now. Come back at 1 o'clock so I can see how you have changed." He went back to his office. Carla wasn't at her desk, so he was thankful for that. He thought she was probably on break. He hoped Mrs. Jennings would forget to buzz her. 20 minutes later he started to relax. All had been quiet. 10 minutes there was a knock on his door. It was Carla. She came in carrying a little suitcase-type container. She put it on his desk and opened it. He saw all types of cosmetics there and shuddered. She told him Mrs. Jennings had asked her to make him as feminine as possible. She started with his eyebrows. When she had finished, his eyebrows were as feminine as could be. Then she started doing something with his hair. It was on the long side. She changed his part and started brushing it into a different style. Soon she was spraying him with hairspray. He thought she was using the whole can of hairspray on him. The hair she had brushed down in front she suddenly started to trim with a little scissors. He became more and more worried. Soon she was done with his hair and started with makeup. She finished the makeup putting dark red lipstick on him. She had him stand up and walk around, twirl a couple of times and said he looked great except for the men's shoes. Then she told him to take his shoes off. He took them off and she had him try hers on. They were a little loose and he cursed himself for having such small feet. She told him he could wear them as she had an extra pair by her desk. They only had 3-inch heels, so they were more comfortable than the ones he had worn the night before. Then Carla asked in a very nice way, "Can I ask why all this is happening to you?" Hearing the concern in her voice, he told her what had transpired the night before and told her about what had happened this morning. He told her all about how he got dressed and how his wife had dictated what he was to wear. He told her about what had happened in Mrs. Jennings' office. By the time he was done, he had tears running down his face and his mascara was running. Carla gave him some tissue to wipe his eyes. She told him she knew she believed in female superiority, but that she felt sorry for him. He felt better when she said there was one more thing she could do. She opened his blouse and started stuffing his bra cups with tissue. She used all the tissue in the box, but when she was done, he sported a magnificent set of breasts. She buttoned him back up. She said, "Now you look a lot better. I can put a matching ribbon in your hair if you would like. What do you think?" Jimmy answered with a question, "What do you think? Do women wear ribbons in their hair in an office?" Carla told him, "Some do, it depends on their hairstyle. Yours right now probably could use a ribbon to set it off." Jimmy told her to go ahead and put a ribbon in his hair. It was a red ribbon that matched his lipstick and shoes. Carla asked, "Did your wife give you a different name for when you were in a dress?" Jimmy told her it was Elizabeth. She told him it was a beautiful name and it fit him. She told him all the Elizabeths she knew were very pretty. She also told him the more feminine he dressed, the less chance that someone would recognize him as a man. She gave him a kiss on the cheek and left him sitting at his desk. He sat there and thought about how not only at home but also now in the office he was dressed as a woman. He tried to think of a way out of all of this. He thought about divorce, then decided he loved his wife and didn't want to lose her. He was sitting thinking about all that was happening to him when Carla buzzed him that Cynthia wanted to see him. He thought about how Cynthia was one person he could talk to when he had a problem. He told her to send her in. Cynthia entered and her jaw dropped and she said, "Wow, look at you. You look wonderful. It's all over the place how you are in a skirt and blouse. I've heard all kinds of reasons why, but I don't believe any of them. Tell me what happened. We have been friends since I started here. I don't care if you wear a bikini or a rubber wetsuit to work. You are still my friend." Jimmy was overcome with emotion. He knew she was a real friend, so he decided to tell her everything. When he was done, she said, "There have been times you said things that I thought were too macho, but I always passed them off as it was just you blowing steam. If you want, I'll talk to your wife and tell her that you are really not a bad guy." Jimmy said, "Thank you for the offer, but I think this is something I have to work out with my wife. I hope she changes her mind about all of this, but I don't know how to hurry that change. I'll take things as they go. Other than this bra killing me, it isn't so bad. Last night the high heels were killing me, but I appreciated getting off of my feet." Cynthia said, "See, already you are starting to appreciate what a woman goes through. I am sure your wife will see that and let you dress as a man soon. Do you want me to let the others know why you are wearing a dress?" Jimmy answered, "No, let's let them make up all kinds of stories. We'll at least find out who are the most creative storytellers among them. I think I would be interested in hearing some of them." Jimmy was smiling and relaxed. Cynthia said she had to get back to work and left. Jimmy thanked her for her kind words. After she left, he felt better about everything. He looked at his desk clock and saw it 12:40. In 20 minutes he had to go into Mrs. Jennings' office. Just then Carla knocked on his door and came in. She told him she picked up some artificial nails for him and matching nail polish. She quickly glued the nails on and put a thick coat of polish on them. She had him wave them in the air to aid in drying. He saw it was 1 o'clock and told Carla he had to see Mrs. Jennings. She checked and told him the nails were dry. When he entered Mrs. Jennings' office, she said, "Now that is what I call a major overhaul. You look better than I ever thought you would. Sit down, there are a couple of things I want to say to you. Do you mind if I speak frankly with you?" Jimmy said it was okay, so she continued, "I want to apologize to you. I shouldn't have threatened you with losing your job this morning. I have met your wife and I like her. When you told me why she was doing this, I took her side without asking you for your defense. I always believed there are two sides to an issue and I didn't look into your side. I want you to tell me truthfully how you feel about all that has happened to you." Jimmy started, "Well, at first I was shocked at wearing a dress and everything else feminine. When we were on the way home, I was just trying to figure out how to get out of this mess. When I went to bed, I realized my wife was serious about this. Then I thought that it wasn't so bad that she wanted to divorce me, so there must be some love there. I decided to do what she wanted to see what was going to happen. I wasn't happy this morning when she told me what I was to wear, but thought I could make it through the day without being discovered. When I was discovered, I was fully embarrassed. Before I put the blouse and skirt on, I seriously thought about telling you I quit. Then I thought to myself that I can take whatever comes about. When Carla was helping me as you asked her to, I was surprised at how sweet she was to me. She told me things that made me make up my mind to definitely do what my wife wants. My wife is the most important thing in my life. I know I have been an ass to her sometimes, and now I have a chance to make it up to her. My only hope is that she sees this sooner rather than later. You didn't have to apologize to me. I know you, and I know you try to be fair with all the employees." Mrs. Jennings said, "If you want, I'll call your wife and talk to her. I may be able to convince her that you are not a bad guy." Jimmy said, "No, you don't have to do that. I have to settle this between my wife and myself. It's funny, you are the second person to say that to me today. It makes me feel good that there are people that are willing to go to bat for me. Thank you." Mrs. Jennings said, "I have a meeting to go to, but if I can do anything to help you, you let me know." Jimmy assured her that he would and left her office. Back in his office, he started to catch up on his work. He was amazed at how easy everything went. It didn't take long for him to catch up. When he was caught up, he noticed he had a half hour to quitting time. Some questions rolled around in his head. He buzzed for Carla to come in. She entered and he asked, "Carla, there are some things I have been wondering about. Do you suppose you could maybe give me some answers to a few questions?" Carla assured him she would try. He asked, "Well, first, when you came in and started to help me, or should I say change my appearance, you didn't even act like I expected. I expected you to try to embarrass me. But you didn't. This isn't how I expected it." Carla answered, "I thought about embarrassing you, but I also thought about how you have always treated me with respect, and the couple of times you corrected me, how diplomatic you were. It was as if you were correcting yourself. I could not embarrass you. I felt a little sorry for you." Jimmy continued, "What do you think of what my wife is doing to me?" Carla responded, "She must be at rope's end to have done this to you. I know once I was at rope's end and I didn't know what to do. When that happens, a person grabs anything that even remotely seems like it might be an answer." Jimmy then asked, "Do you think I am a macho pig sometimes?" Carla told him, "You have said some things that could be taken as super macho. You know, putting down women, that sort of thing. I have noticed that you are like that when you are with a couple of those salesmen. I think you say those things to impress them and that you deep down don't believe them. I don't hold those things against you because I know how you are the rest of the time. I can't believe you don't help your wife at home. Jimmy said, "Oh, I didn't help her." Now, I don't know exactly why I didn't help her. I guess if I had it to do over I would help her, but it's too late to go back. I know I'll have to stick out whatever she wants. I love her and don't want to lose her. She gets her moods and sometimes I just have to roll with them. It was time to leave for the day. Carla got up and came over and gave him a kiss on the cheek. This surprised Jimmy but made him feel good. On the way home, Jimmy thought about everything that had happened to him that day. He decided he would do whatever Carol wanted. He was amazed at how everyone he came into contact with treated him. He didn't know why. He arrived home and was surprised to see his wife's car in the garage. He went in and found her asleep on the couch. He saw a bowl on the floor by the couch. He wondered why she was home and sleeping but didn't disturb her. He looked on the table and found a list of things to do. He started with the kitchen. He wiped all the cupboards with furniture polish and wiped down all the counters. Then he cleaned the sink. She didn't have the refrigerator on the list, but he washed it down anyway. When he was done, it sparkled. Then he started the next thing on the list. He polished the table and chairs. He was throwing away the rag when he noticed a spill mark on the floor of the kitchen. He swept the floor and got the mop and pail and mopped it real good. Then he got clear water and rinsed the floor. When he was done, it looked like new. He was checking the list when he heard Carol. She called him. He went into the living room. He asked her what was wrong. She said, "I got the flu this afternoon and had to come home. I feel awful, I feel tired and weak." "Where did you get those clothes?" "They aren't what you wore to work this morning." "What happened?" "Did you find your list?" He thought about the questions and chose to answer the last question first. He said, "I found the list and have already done the kitchen and the table and chairs. You didn't have the kitchen floor on it, but I saw a spot on the floor, so I swept it and mopped and rinsed it. I also wiped down the refrigerator." He related the events of the day, leaving out most of the conversations. He told her about Mrs. Jennings and most of what she had said. Then he shocked her by saying, "I know I wasn't much help around here. I am sorry. I never thought you felt so strongly about how I should help more. I will do what you want to show you I love you and don't want to lose you." Carol was taken with emotion. She was ready to tell him he could go get dressed like a man again, but decided a few more days wouldn't hurt for him to find out what she had been going through. Carol asked him to make her a bowl of chicken soup so she could see if it stayed down. He went and made the soup. He was surprised at how easy it was to make. He took it in to her and returned to his chore list. He went upstairs and changed the bed linens on Carol's bed. Then he got the vacuum and did all the floors upstairs. He was glad there was only one thing left on the list. It was clean the upstairs bathroom. He started and it took longer than he expected, but when he was done it was a masterpiece. He felt pretty proud of himself. When he went downstairs to tell Carol he had done the entire list, he found her standing in the dining area. Carol said, "The kitchen looks great, so does the table and chairs. You did a great job. I am proud of you." He felt a feeling of pride and her comments made him feel really, really good. He was glad he had pleased her. Carol thought, "He is doing a better job than I would have done. I can't believe it." She knew she enjoyed the feeling of power she had over him and didn't know if she could give that up. It bothered her that she felt that way about her husband. She went up to get ready for bed. She went into the bathroom. She thought she was in the wrong house. Everything sparkled and shone. She thought she was going to have to ask him how he did that. She thought about him in the spare bedroom laying there alone and felt a pang at her heart. She was feeling sorry about what they had done to him. She was almost ready to go get him and apologize for what she had done to him. She thought about how he was and how he was taking the feminization. She thought about tomorrow being Friday and all the things she was going to have him do Saturday. She decided to leave things as they were until Saturday. Jimmy had gotten ready for bed, and when he climbed into bed he laid there less than 2 minutes before he was fast asleep. He was tired but felt good about everything. The next morning, he woke up before his usual time. He felt refreshed. He got up and got dressed, put on makeup and was downstairs making coffee before 6. He didn't know why he felt so good but just enjoyed the feeling. He decided that Carol probably wouldn't want breakfast until she felt better. He was enjoying his 3rd cup of coffee when Carol walked in. He asked her how she felt. She said, "I feel quite a bit better, but I am not up to full steam yet. I am going to take today off to fully recuperate. Would you get me a cup of coffee, please?" He got her the cup of coffee, and when he set it down in front of her he asked, "Would you like me to stay with you today? I can probably get you whatever you want and you can rest." She told him it wasn't necessary for him to stay with her. It was close to the time for him to go to work. She saw him grab his purse and head out the door. He arrived at work and said good morning to Carla as he passed her desk. He entered his office, then realized something was different. He stepped back out of his office and looked at the nameplate. It read Elizabeth Dawson. He asked Carla if she knew anything about it. She told him she didn't know anything about it. He went into his office and started reading his emails. There was one from Cynthia asking him if he wanted to join her for lunch. He sent her a reply saying yes, he would join her for lunch. He got busy with his work. He was so engrossed in his work that before he knew it was lunchtime. He headed for Cynthia's desk. He arrived there and she was talking to Tom. She told Tom she was going for lunch with Jimmy. Tom said, "I thought you preferred real men, not pansies." Jimmy immediately said, "I am more woman than you can handle and more man than you will ever be." Tom stomped off and they left for lunch. They were seated and immediately ordered. Cynthia started telling him some of the stories that were going around about him. Some were funny and they both had to laugh about them. A couple were close but missed the mark. Cynthia asked him how he was handling it. He answered, "Well, for the most part it is going pretty good. Actually, it is going a lot better than I expected. People are treating me a lot better than I expected, with one exception, of course." Cynthia said, "Don't worry about Tom. He is an ass sometimes. How are you and your wife getting along?" Jimmy told her about the previous evening and that she was homesick today. He told her that in some ways the housework wasn't so bad, but that he didn't care for some of it. He told her there were some positive things that he never realized and some negative things that he never thought of. Cynthia asked what they were. Jimmy said, "Well, the positive things are how everyone is treating me for one thing. Another thing is now I realize how hard it was for Carol to come home and have all those things to do. I now appreciate how she worked a job and took care of the house. I love her, but I wish there was some other way she could have shown me this. You know, the nights she came to bed and said she was too tired to do anything when I felt like doing something. I passed them off as, well, she was a woman, that was why she was too tired. I never realized how much work it is to keep up a house. I'll never do that again, and it's only been one night of housework. You know what, last night was the fastest I have fallen asleep in a long, long time and I slept so deep." Cynthia said, Tell me about it. I get busy streaks, I call them that, when I feel like cleaning my apartment good, and when I am done I'm exhausted. You never even feel it until you go to rest. Then it hits you like a ton of bricks. Jimmy said, there is one thing I have thought about and I don't know what to do about it. It is what will happen when the company suddenly comes and tells me I have to change back to men's clothes or else. Cynthia said, I think you should talk to Mrs. Jennings about that. I don't think they would bother you as long as your work stays up there, but you never know corporate policy. Remember last year when they came down with that policy that said the girls in the office couldn't wear athletic or running type shoes? They had to wear flats or heels. Jimmy said he remembered that and that he would talk to Mrs. Jennings. Cynthia asked him if any of this was bothering him a real lot. He said, there is one thing, but it is embarrassing to say anything about it. I'll tell you, but I hope you won't say anything about it to anyone else. The thing is, I kind of like the feel of some of these clothes. I don't care for the tightness of the bras, but I really like the feel of the skirt against the back of my legs and the slippery feel of the slip against my nylons. To me it is an exciting feeling, but I know I shouldn't feel this way. Cynthia said, no, you are feeling just as any woman feels. I have those feelings and sometimes they are more prevalent than others. When I feel them I feel sexy and I know I am alive with feelings, good feelings. Don't feel bad about those feelings. Enjoy them, feel them, live them, that's my motto. Jimmy told her thank you for the understanding. He said, I don't know who I could talk to like I am talking to you now. It means so much to me to have someone I can talk real feelings and real fears about like I can with you. Thank you, you are special to me, in a special way. I can't believe I am saying this and it isn't in a sexual way, it's in almost a spiritual way. Cynthia said, you may not realize it but you are talking as close to woman as I have ever seen. It means you are changing and you will make it. You will be a success in spite of everything that is happening to you. With your outlook you have no boundaries. You can head in any direction and feel confident that you will succeed. Lunchtime was coming to a fast end and they headed back to their offices. When Jimmy said thank you to Cynthia at her desk, she leaned forward and gave him a kiss on his cheek. He headed for his office and when he got by Carla's desk he asked her to try to set up an appointment with Mrs. Jennings. He got in his office and just sat down when Carla buzzed him that Mrs. Jennings would see him immediately. He went to her office and entered and sat down. He started, I have a question that is bothering me. Could it happen that the company decides that I am too much of a bother to keep around? Mrs. Jennings said, I have talked to my superior about our meetings yesterday. She assured me that as long as your work is up to par you would have a job. She told me the government has pretty strict rules about discriminating against sexual preference in the workplace. If you keep up the way you are you won't have anything to worry about. I read your report you did yesterday. I must say it was probably the best report you have done. It was clear, explicit, and your wording in it was excellent. Now, is everyone treating you okay? Jimmy said, for the most part, yes. Today I had lunch with Cynthia. She is so understanding. There has been only one person who said anything disparaging and I don't have a high opinion of him anyway. Mrs. Jennings said, I'll bet it was Tom, wasn't it? I'll tell you something about him. Sometimes he is a half-wit. He spends too much time trying to get Cynthia to go out with him. If he says anything to you again, I want you to tell me. When I get done with him, he may be asking you for a date. Mrs. Jennings laughed and Jimmy laughed with her. Then Mrs. Jennings asked him how things were at home. He told her he could manage it, but he never realized how much his wife had to do to keep the place up. She sympathized with him. Then she said, that is a very pretty floral skirt. I like the colors in it. Where did you get it? Jimmy explained that it was from Beverly and told her he would ask her if she remembered where she got it. Their conversation ended and he headed back to his office. He felt a lot better about his job security. He got down to work and before he knew it was time to go home. When he got home, Carol wanted to know all about his day. He gave her a summary but left the parts about his personal feelings out. Carol said she was hungry and asked him if he wanted to go out. He asked if he could wear his pants and shirt. Carol told him he looked all right the way he was, that he just had to refresh his makeup. He went and redid his makeup. When he returned, Carol told him that he would have the night off as a reward for all he had done the previous night and to give him a chance to rest for tomorrow. Carol suggested Stony Brook in for supper and he agreed. They were known for their Friday fish special and he liked it, so there wasn't any argument. They were soon seated ready to order. Just as the waitress came for their order, Cynthia and her boyfriend happened to see them and stopped to say hello. Carol invited them to join them. They made small talk for a while. Then she signaled the waitress that they were ready to order. They ordered and as soon as the waitress left, Jimmy said he had to go to the bathroom. He excused himself and left. Cynthia sent her boyfriend to the bar to get them all a drink. As soon as he left, Cynthia said, "I like Jimmy. I know he has changed. Do you know when you will let him return to being a regular man?" Carol said, "I don't really know. I thought about it last night, then decided to wait until after tomorrow. I know he has changed. He has surprised the daylights out of me the way he is taking this. I never expected this kind of behavior or cooperation." Cynthia said, "Well, he surprised me and I thought I knew him. You have to go pretty far to find another like him. Most men would be trying to bull their way out of something like this, but Jimmy is just going along with it." Cynthia's boyfriend returned with the drinks, so the conversation changed to other subjects. Jimmy returned just as the food was being served. They ate a delicious meal and had a very friendly conversation during the meal. When they were done, they paid and went their own ways. On the way home, Carol told Jimmy that she liked Cynthia. She said she could tell Cynthia liked him. She said he was lucky to have a friend like her. He knew she was right. When they got home, Carol said, "Elizabeth, there are a couple of things I want to tell you. I don't want you to get a big head, but you are doing a great job. I never believed you were capable of cleaning like you are. I can't understand why you never would help me when I really could have used the help. With the talent you showed in cleaning, it makes me madder that you didn't use that talent than the fact you didn't help me. The other thing is, I am simply amazed at how well you are taking the change we made in you. I know you could have fought me all the way, but you didn't. I am wondering why. Can you tell me?" Jimmy responded, "At first I thought about fighting you with everything I have, then I started thinking that you must still have some love for me or you would be divorcing me. I figure I am man enough to take whatever you want. I love you and I'll do whatever it takes to keep you." Carol was on the verge of tears. She knew her husband was telling the truth. She knew if she said anything she would start crying, so she kissed him deeply until she regained control over her emotions. When she broke the kiss, she said, "Look at that. You have to go and repair your lipstick." Jimmy went and fixed his lipstick. When he returned, Carol was watching television and told him his list for tomorrow was on the table. He went and read it. It read breakfast in bed at 7:30, mow lawn, do laundry, wash curtains in bedroom, hang outside to dry, iron all of laundry, make light lunch for 3, wash all windows inside and out, clean downstairs bathroom, clean downstairs family room, clean oven and stove, put curtains back up, sweep garage, wash my car, clean inside of my car, make evening meal, clean up after meal. Jimmy looked at the list and knew it would be a full day. He went into the living room by Carol. He asked, "Can't some of this list wait until Sunday? There is an awful lot on it." Carol said, "I have other things planned for Sunday." "I know you'll be busy. You should thank me for not adding for you to do the grocery shopping to it." Jimmy couldn't think of anything to say, so he just sat quietly and thought about tomorrow. Finally, he went up to bed. He slept sound and was up at 6. He went down and started coffee. As the coffee was brewing, he went and started the laundry. He went back up and enjoyed a slow cup of coffee. After the coffee, he went and got dressed. He wore a loose blouse and a tight black skirt. He chose the skirt because it had pockets that he figured would come in handy today. By the time he was done with his makeup, it was 7:15 and he had to start Carol's breakfast. He made it, and when he served her, she smiled at him. He asked, "Can I get the curtains down now?" She told him he could and watched as he took them down. She wondered why he had such a tight skirt on. Then she thought about when she did most of the chores he had to. She wore jeans and a blouse or t-shirt. She smiled to herself as she experienced a feeling of power. She imagined what Jimmy would look like in a maid's dress. She thought, maybe we should continue this. It is nice having someone else do all the housework. Jimmy took the curtains down to the laundry area and saw that the washer was done. He took the clothes out and put the curtains in. It didn't look like much, so he threw the towels in with them. Then he went and hung the clothes up outside. He was thankful for the 6-foot fence that surrounded the backyard. He went back inside and he heard Carol call him. He went up to her room and she said she had called 3 times. He explained where he was and she said okay. She told him he could take the dishes down and rinse them and put them in the dishwasher. He then went and mowed the front lawn. He took a break after the front lawn and had another cup of coffee. He went and got the curtains and towels out of the washer and put the last load in. He went and hung the things on the clothesline to dry. Then he mowed the back lawn. When he was finished, he got the rest of the clothes and hung them up. When he came into the house, he heard Carol talking to someone. She heard him come in and called him. Carol said, "Did you notice it is lunchtime? Get something for Beverly, you and I to eat." He went into the kitchen and looked in the refrigerator. He didn't see much. He finally took the cheese out and decided to make toasted cheese sandwiches. He made 3 toasted cheese sandwiches and served them with a glass of milk. As they were sitting eating, Beverly said, "Elizabeth, that outfit looks really good on you. With the white blouse and black skirt, you look almost like a maid. All we would have to add is a pretty apron and a lacy cap." Jimmy said, "Thank you for the compliment. I have to ask you about the blue and red floral skirt. Where did you get it? Mrs. Jennings liked it so much she would like to get one like it." Beverly answered, "If I remember right, I got it at Cheryl's boutique on Jackson Street. I get a lot of clothes there. They have a good selection of styles I like. You should go there. I am sure you would find something nice to wear." Jimmy didn't know if she was serious or teasing him, so he didn't answer. Beverly was grinning at him. She was enjoying his discomfort. She told him she could go for another sandwich. Carol said she would like another one also. He got up and made 3 more sandwiches. He hadn't realized how hungry he was until he had started eating. Beverly asked if they wanted to go out that night. Carol said she didn't know when Elizabeth would have all of her chores done. Beverly laughed and said, "Well, it shouldn't take long. Look at how long you did all the work around here. It should be a breeze for a strong man to get done." "Oh, I forgot you only have Elizabeth." Jimmy blushed and Beverly was looking right at him. She told him he was so cute when he blushed. They finished lunch and Jimmy cleaned up. He put the dishes in the dishwasher and saw that it was full. He started the dishwasher, then heard Carol tell him not to forget to empty it when it was done. He went out to move the cars and sweep the garage. When he had finished sweeping the garage, he started washing Carol's car. When he finished, he got the vacuum and started to clean the inside. The tight skirt restricted his movements and rode up on his legs as he cleaned the car. He finally finished it and parked it in the garage and closed the garage door. It was already 3:30 and he had so much more to do. He went inside and remembered the dishwasher. He emptied it and all he could think about was that he wasn't going to get everything done. He went in by Carol. He said, "I have a problem. I don't know if you can help or not." "I don't know what to do." Carol asked, "What is the big problem?" He answered, "Well, I haven't done the family room yet or the bathroom down here. There's still the ironing to do and the windows to wash. I am not going to get it all done. I'm sorry, I am doing the best I can, but there's no way I can do it all." Carol heard the desperation in his voice and said, "I know how you feel. It is the same as I felt when I asked you for help. It doesn't feel good, does it?" Jimmy said, "No, it doesn't. I am sorry that I never helped you before. If I could change things I would help you, but what is done is done. I am really, really sorry." Carol saw the tears and knew he was truly sorry. She thought about calling it done but decided to let him finish the day. She told him to do what he could and that she would make the evening meal to help him. She told him to get the wash and start the ironing. He dried his eyes and got he wash and started the ironing. He was ironing when she told him supper was ready. They sat down to eat. Carol said to him, "I have a confession to make. I purposely made the list that way knowing you wouldn't be able to finish it. I wanted you to know how I felt when I couldn't get everything done that I thought should be done." Jimmy said, "You did a good job. I learned something I will never forget. It is an awful feeling when you realize you aren't able to do what you once thought you would get done. I have found out that the housework is harder than my job at the office." Carol said, "I guess I have to say something really important to you. I think you have learned your lesson. I would appreciate it if you would finish your ironing after supper, then you can go change back into your boy clothes. The only thing is that I don't know what we can do to change your feminine eyebrows though." Jimmy said, "I might as well keep these clothes on. By the time I finish the ironing it won't make much sense to change for less than an hour, does it?" Carol said, "No, I guess it doesn't. I thought you would want to get out of those clothes as soon as possible." Jimmy said, "In some ways I like the feel of these clothes. They make me feel different and I look at things differently when I am wearing them. I can't explain it, but I know I feel entirely different. I notice women and what they are wearing, not how good looking they are. I notice their makeup and their movements." Carol said, "It sounds like you were looking at them as a woman would." Jimmy said, "Would it bother you if I wore a dress tomorrow?" Carol said, "No, it wouldn't bother me at all. I have a great idea. Tomorrow, why don't we go to Chippewa Park where we met for a picnic? We can go as two women who enjoy each other's company. What are you going to do on Monday for work?" Jimmy said, "They don't know that you have lifted the punishment. I kind of like the way most of them are treating me. Maybe I could continue for at least a couple of days. What do you think?" My eyebrows should grow back, shouldn't they? Carol said, you can wear whatever you want. I'll understand. You just surprise me. I didn't think you liked the clothes at all. Jimmy said, at first I didn't, but I have gotten used to them now. It's hard to explain. I don't understand it myself. It's like it's forbidden, but at the same time it seems like it's right. Do you understand what I am trying to say? Carol told him she thought so and that she loved him. They finished their meal and he went to finish the ironing. He hummed to himself as he ironed. When he finished, he went in by Carol. He told her he loved her. She said, do you think in the future we both can keep this house in order, work as a team? Jimmy said, that sounds great to me. That night Carol told him she needed him in her bed. He joined her wearing the pink nightgown. She rubbed his manhood through his nightgown. He raised it and mounted her. They enjoyed the best sex they ever had in their wedded life. When they were done, Jimmy was soon fast asleep. Carol knew he was tired after the day he had had. She thought to herself that Beverly would never know how successful their plan had been. There were benefits that neither one of them had ever imagined. She couldn't remember when she felt more blissful.